I don't know if I'm correct on this, but isn't freedom of speech protecting you from the government, not people that have their opinions? So, if you say the N-word in front of a fucking urban neighborhood, you're gonna get your ass kicked, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how it should go. So, if people complaining about freedom of speech shouldn't really be complaining if they don't know what it is. So I feel like
there's kind of two factors there. And I agree. It's very easy to lampoon any of these issues because I know there are a lot of right-wing people who don't understand at all the consequences of their actions. They don't understand anything about science or any educated topic of discussion, and yet they want to jump in and
there's
say,
only
my
two
freedom is
genders.
I mean, whatever.
I'm more of a three kind of gender guy. I believe male, female, and attack helicopters. So, that's the only three genders that I know of. So I feel that we really need to understand that. And, there's transsexuals, but if you're trying to act as a gender, then you're that gender. You know what I mean? I guess people don't like me, man. I'm leaving.
Yeah, Ty, you've been talking a lot. I mean, I want you to participate I want anyone who, even if you don't feel particularly in the know, I want you to participate to some degree. But yeah, Ty, you've been pitching in a lot, so maybe just chill for a minute. Do we want to pick a topic then?
Yes.
Third parties.
All right. Well, when
military budget.
When it comes to third parties, I don't really know a lot about them. I just, if it comes to me, I'm a pretty conservative fella. Yeah, that's what I think matters the most in my life.
Well, what did you think about Gary Johnson, since he was pretty conservative leaning?
Who was that?
Gary Johnson. He's referring me, yeah.
Well, I think he's,
the Libertarian Party.
I respect other people's opinions. I mean, you can do what you want to do, but when it comes to my opinions, I'm pretty I hold pretty fast to what I want to do and what I believe in.
What do you want to do?
I want to. Nah, I'm not gonna say that.
All right.
Just leaving this short there.
Hasn't introduced themselves, want to come up and give your basic political leanings, and then we'll pick a topic and get some kind of discussion going. Anyone?
Hey, what's up? I'm just kind of listening in while I'm doing some homework. I'm kind of stoned, but
what kind of stone are you?
I'm mostly liberal, but I have some conservative leanings, so I feel like I'm mostly center.
Yeah, weed. Alright, I'll give something to go, just like a top. I'm not gonna participate in this.
He's got a gun.
I'm just gonna start off with top. Let's talk about the future of the presidency, the future of the election. Who, if Donald Trump's gonna make it a second term? Let's go with that. Let's just.
So the 2020 presidential elections are the topic at hand. Anybody?
Kanye West.
Anybody want to pitch in? I mean, maybe we should get a more concrete, stance. I guess whoever's interested, come up and talk about it, and from that we'll figure out something to argue about.
I really want to put Hello over there, because I think he knows his shit, and he's a pretty cool guy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Hello, would you like to come up?
Bibbly's pretty cool.
He has a nice, nice hair, he's a pretty good-looking guy. I would suck his balls if he let me.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Yeah, Gary, you've been very helpful. Ty, you're helpful too. I appreciate your enthusiasm.
I'm helpful too, man.
Yeah, hello.
What do we want to talk about?
Are you interested in talking about the 2020 elections? Maybe who you... That's so loud, Durak, you're typing.
He's writing a paper over there.
Sorry.
Here, hello, are you interested in talking on the 2020 elections? I mean, if nobody's interested in talking about a topic, we can just move on.
Well, I shared a little bit about it earlier, but I guess just to recap what I was going to say before. In 2020, I do believe Donald Trump will take it again. I think his favor in the public eye is definitely not waning. And with that wall, we'll definitely see more progress. Right now, you can only see the stubble, the contracts and whatnot. But in reality, I think Donald Trump has it's a shoo-in for him to win.
With the wall, you're saying? You think he's going to get the wall done? You think that's going to be a reality?
Yes. So far, he's already started on it, according to the news.
I mean, it seems like he started on a lot of things. I've kind of removed myself a little bit from what's been going on for the past couple of months. I mean, I was very in the know the past several years, and over the course of the 2016 election, I was like tightly, you know.
Is there fake news out there, Brett?
I don't know. Fake news? Dude, everything's fake news.
CNN is fake news.
I just want to say that Kanye West had the best presidential run of all time.
Amen!
That's a bit of a dated meme, but I mean, fair enough. You know, I respect your ability to say that.
Okay, wait. I want to give you a real topic. Do you think it's a meme, though? Do you think he might actually run for 2020? Because he seemed pretty serious about it.
I mean, it's very unlikely that he will run. I mean, especially for him being a musician and not really having any political experience. Though Donald Trump never had any political experience, I would say there's somewhat of a difference with that.
Well, I mean, then again, he was a businessman. Politics has a lot to deal with economies, so, you know, he did have some...
I mean, yeah, somewhat. But music really has...
But, you know, being a magician is using your vocal cords.
Four, did you want to say something? You haven't said much.
Not just that, though, like, saying he's a businessman and everything, but it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious to me that most of these elections in the UK and or the US are all just a big hoax. I mean, there's been plenty of times like Florida where counts have gone missing and shit like that. Does that not any of that concern anyone like it concerns me? That's all I've got to say.
Well,
I think
that would concern anyone.
I can sort of speak for America to a degree. Obviously, I don't know everything about all Americans, just being one, but there's definitely a large degree of skepticism. Some ridiculous number of Americans don't participate in the electoral process anymore. Like the majority of Americans don't, because of exactly that reason. They think they don't understand the electoral college. They don't understand a lot of the elements of the electoral process. And that's not to say there isn't any foul play.
Alright, so
Just on the purpose, Nate, though, let's be honest.
The only thing I would say is, I just want to say, I mean, part of the thing is, you know, a lot of Americans believe that no matter what vote they make, that nothing's going to change towards the outcome, you know? Now, granted, that's a bad way to look at it, but that's the realistic approach at it. They're going to like, well, Trump's going to win regardless, no matter if I vote against him or for him, you know? I could vote for a party that's not even, you know, left or right. So they look at it as, why even bother voting?
Yep, same in England, man.
Yeah, I mean,
same in England.
That's part of the failing of the two-party system. However, the two-party system, there aren't a lot of good workarounds for, like, usually whenever you have a representative democracy where you're voting on candidates, usually whenever you have a representative democracy, you end up with a two-party system regardless, just because people will prefer to minimize their losses over maximizing their gains. And so you'll rather than going with your ideal party, you'll end up picking the one that is the least bad. And that's why mathematically then the next election, the one that you picked that was least bad is doing better than the one that you would have ideally picked. The one you would have ideally picked drops out. It's the reason why all these independent parties have like 1%, and then we have the two main parties as they are. That's one of the problems just with the makeup of the system. The other problem is things like Citizens United and just the problems with the funding of candidates, where corporations are just allowed to essentially buy candidates with just massive amounts of money, give them all the media coverage that they need to, because media coverage is a huge amount. I mean, it definitely, ideas are important when it comes to winning people over, but media coverage, I mean, I don't think Trump won because of the media coverage. I think what he was saying was definitely resonating, and it played, you know, it was amplified by the ridiculous media coverage. Anybody else want to come up and say a few things? I mean, I don't want to, even though this is my room, I don't want to dominate the conversation.
Well, I kind of also wanted to add, I think our voting system is very flawed, especially with us having the Electoral College. Knowing how, especially with this last election, knowing how technically Trump only got more electoral votes than Hillary, but didn't get the popular vote. I feel we probably shouldn't have, if we still are going to have the first past the post system. I feel we should at least try to remove the Electoral College, or at least try to get a better replacement. instead of it just being something that really would that it wouldn't matter. Geez, sorry, I apologize. Like I was saying, oh dear. With the Electoral College itself, it is more about. It really doesn't matter what the citizens think, because with some electors in the Electoral College, technically they can vote against what their state, what the popular vote for their state was, like the two electors in this election did with voting for Hillary Clinton instead of Trump, though Trump still won. I mean, we should at least try to get rid of it or make a better solution. Though the first past the post system isn't the best, especially with it creating more two-party systems, which in the long run won't benefit anyone, because it'll just come down to a stalemate or bipartisanship, like it's gone to now. Because politics now is just more of who's the most outrageous and who gets the most media coverage. It doesn't matter about what you think. It only matters if people get to see on the news. Oh, yes, you were saying?
I'll just wait. I just want to go up there once you're done.
I'll leave the stage. You can say what you
I disagree.
All right. I think the president should ban anime.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Building on.
Wait, you should legalize it, but tax it.
Agreed.
From building where Gary was saying, I don't think we can get rid of the Electoral College considering it's an amendment, and those are very hard to repeal. I think the best way would be talking to voters and explaining the process better, so they have a better understanding of how it works and what they could do.
Better education.
Well, I mean, yes. even if so, the Electoral College was pretty. It was.
Hold on. First Gary, then Four. Okay.
Okay. Jar, would it be okay if I could come up?
Here, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Really, even though it is technically an amendment, the Electoral College itself, like I said, it's still flawed. If anything, we should try to at least make it better, knowing how it is an amendment and it's going to be almost practically impossible to remove. Up. Why, thank you for your criticism.
You look like
you were saying?
Son.
Why, thank you.
You look like Sid from Ice Age.
Well, I think I'll chime in. Gary, so you don't like the Electoral College, right?
No, it's incredibly flawed. I would say we should at least try to fix it, even though we still have, even if we will keep the first past the post voting.
This thing is a joke.
I disagree. I actually think the Electoral College is a brilliant system within a democratic republic. And there's a reason why.
How so?
Well, here's the thing, and I understand that a lot of people don't like it, and many people don't even understand it, but as a brief rundown, the Electoral College is a popularity vote. It's just that it's a limited popularity vote. Every state gets an assigned, as we know, every state gets an assigned number of electoral votes based on population and updates, every few years. And those people can then vote. And if the majority in that state votes, and it doesn't matter which counties vote, it's just the majority in the state votes, then their votes, all of them, which is dictated by population, gets counted towards the overall race. Now that is a popularity system, but what it prevents is a lot of people from being able to go into one state and have them domineer the competition. So Donald Trump loses the popular vote, right? That's common knowledge. But that's because there's so many, liberals and leftists and people who are center, or people who like Hillary Clinton, voting against them in California and not going to the other states. That's why they didn't get their voice heard, because they were all clumped up in one single place. They didn't represent the majority of the United States. They represented one small section.
But if it was...
I mean, I understand your viewpoint with the Electoral College, but you do know, though saying it is most proportional, you do know with the minimum electoral votes each state can get is by 3, which technically for states with who have more electorates than 3, it make the Electoral College makes so those states get less electoral votes, while the smaller states get more. And also,
this is true.
The Electoral College,
More
technically,
per population,
this has never happened before, but you technically can win the presidency with only 20% of the population voting for you.
That's true.
I don't know the exact states. I can look it up if you really want me to.
No, I'm aware of that.
Certain states in the US, you can be president.
Also, knowing how, though, like I said, this has never happened before. Technically, with electorates, they can vote for a different candidate, like I said, from their state voted for. So,
unfaithful
you might win in
electors, yes.
November, but you'll lose in January.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. Again, those are all fair complaints, right? You can rig the system technically, and beat out the vast majority. But if you actually look at the way those states, and I can't remember them, but the states you're talking about are obvious. Those states, it's very, very hard to take all of these specific states in one order. The way it's set up is that the smaller states have more power because, as we know, the smaller states are trying to bargain with the union. They're saying, we're small, but we want to be known as individuals. We want to have a say in the election. So the U.S. government is nice and gives them 3 and says, here you go. But all of that being said, if the small states didn't have that extra power and didn't take away that power from the bigger states, their voices would be lost. And America prides itself on this democracy amongst states. Hence why we use the term state and not province or region. What I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't have the little guy going down and getting hit and being not known in the election. He should have a voice. And if that voice trumps some of the bigger states, well, then let it trump it. That's the point of America.
I'd like Four to get a chance to speak. Four's been kind of trying to say a few things and is kind of been getting overshadowed. It's been a good discussion.
I'm just high saying shit like your education system, like in England, is pretty much run by whoever's got the most money. Realistically, so like the guy that was on about better education earlier on, it's just never gonna happen. So.
Guys, don't kick people. We're trying to have this be like an open kind of, you come up on stage, say your piece, and then you get down. It's been going pretty well. So even if you disagree with somebody, don't kick them out, or I'm just gonna ban you. So go ahead.
I feel that Hello has a good point, and I can see why Gary has that opinion. But when it comes down to it, it's very statistical, and you have to understand what the voting system really is to vote. And people, it's a difficult learning process. So it's such a... Okay, yeah.
So, by you mostly agreeing with Hello, though you haven't specified, so then do you support how smaller states, like let's say Wyoming, for example, knowing how they have less electoral votes. So you're saying that Wyoming would technically though having a smaller population and smaller votes, it would be okay for a president only being decided by smaller states with less of a population than, like, let's say states like California, Texas, Florida, New York. So are you saying how the minority can still beat the majority?
I mean, I kind of have an answer for that. But you were directing that towards Ty?
I would allow you to go.
I was directing it towards Ty and somewhat for Hello, but Hello isn't in the discussion, so I won't.
So I get what you're saying.
I would just like to make one.
Nah, you can go, man. I don't have priority over this. Oh, you wanna go?
Hello.
Hi. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because it wanted to go see Trump.
Hey.
Hello, I kind of see where you're coming from. Are you saying basically that because the lower population areas, like the working class, they since they do most of the work in the country, like creating like the factories, running the factories, creating many of our textiles and other things like that, that they should get more of a say because of the work that they put in?
Well, no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm only saying
no, I was talking to Hello.
Blue collar work. Okay. Oh, you're directing this toward.
Here, wait. Yeah, let's get Hello up on stage.
Oh, sorry. So repeat what you were saying then.
So
I thought you were talking
what
to somebody
I'm
else.
saying is the reason why you think that these states should get the power that they do is because they put in extra work, like they're all blue collar, and in a state like California, as you were talking about, most of it's white collar and much more democratic than others?
Oh, no. My opinion does not have to do with anything of the demographics within smaller states or bigger states. The point I was trying to make is that America could not have been so large or so successful without being able to get fringe states into its midst. As we know, smaller countries or smaller regions always put up the biggest fight when some big guy's coming in trying to bring everybody together. And you can see that with the Soviet Union. Poland was the biggest opposer of the Soviet Union, but still fell in that Iron Curtain. But it was the Soviet Union's job to get all of the people on the perimeter to agree. If they didn't agree, they could actually take down the very center, or the heart of the Soviet Union. In the same way, America works like that. America's big states all function and run fine, but it was those smaller states and the overall manifest destiny, the whole of America, that was important to tame and to corral. So in allowing the smaller states to have such power in the election, I think that's a good thing. I think that that's the point, is that you need to appease these states. They have power just by being the smaller state. Give them a voice.
Well, and not just in appeasing the small states to remain in the union, but also it echoes. You see.
I just walked in, so I have
than I am. So I'm asking you: do you feel like that the sentiment? Now, the Electoral College wasn't created in the initial plan for the government, right? That was that was added later, correct?
Yes.
Do you feel that there's an echo of this sentiment of like a balance of power between like a populist side and I'm not sure if you would say like an
okay, here's a political discussion.
But in a sense,
I work for the police.
The Electoral College.
Tell me, what do you think
to prevent a sudden popular like swing in any particular direction? Now, I know the Electoral College was what put the quote unquote populist in office. However, I would argue that depending on your definition of populism, Hillary Clinton was actually for the time, the more popular candidate. Now, if you're going by old school populism, like with an economic aspect to it, then yeah, Donald Trump would be appealing to the common man. But when I think about populism, I think more so the fads of culture, like the pop sensation type stuff, and that like Hillary was very much someone who blew in on the wind. Now, she was always a name in politics, but for this particular election, well, it seemed like both candidates were kind of these very popular, just names that like nobody really wanted them. Oh, some people wanted them, but they were if we had thought clearly about it, we would have picked someone different. I guess you can say that for every election. But in other words, the Electoral College serves in a way to prevent just a short-sighted election by giving the power to these smaller states. It allows for a decentralization of, because information spreads based on population density, right? Are you kind of feeling
I'm following.
Any kind of a question here? Like, do you agree that the institution of the Electoral College, it follows in almost a tradition of the Founding Fathers, a tradition of thought that we should keep things away from an oligarchy, but also away from a direct democracy. And there's good reasons for that. But do you feel like that's kind of the point of the Electoral College? Is to
the Second Amendment is overrated.
Oh, I agree 100%. You heard me earlier, I used the term limiting, and that's the whole point of the Electoral College, is that it's limiting. It's limiting from the population who wants to stay in one area from having the say for everything, from domineering this competition. The Founding Fathers did not care. I'm sure they did personally, but in a broad sense of the word, they did not care if the Republic fell and it became this total monarchy, or if it became this decentralized democracy. What they cared about was unity and the unity in going away from extremism. And the whole point of the Electoral College is to stop extreme votes so that the little states can block something. In fact, a recent example of blocking something on a federal scale, if you notice that Donald Trump puts this executive order out to stop certain countries from allowing people to come in for 30 days. Well, that happens, and bada bing, bada boom, it's signed into office. But wait a second, a judge in Hawaii says, no, I'm blocking that. That can't happen. It's unconstitutional. Here's my claim. And then we have the Supreme Court that has to settle that, and that takes months. The point of it is that why does this one judge in Hawaii have the power to stop what the president has to say? Well, that's because the system... That's because the system... It's because the system was designed in that way, to let the little guy say no. Not to necessarily get over that hump and, you know, take over everything, but to just stop the extreme. So I agree, yes.
I mean, I couldn't say it better myself. Damn, fucking hell, this guy's a god.
What is your background, and do you have any education in
Holy
political
shit.
science?
I was not a political science major. I'm a criminal justice major / theology major, but I'm junior in college.
Skyblock?
I like
What
politics.
did you do for your thesis in theology?
You want to join
I
my
have
Minecraft
no
server?
real formal education in politics, but I am a bit of a philosopher myself, and
You done it, you could be
I'm
admin.
very in tune with online media. I've watched just about everything I can get my hands on, be it left or right leaning.
Excellent. To answer your question, my thesis on theology is on the second schism between the Protestants and the Orthodox and the Catholics.
Fair enough.
Well, for hopefully that 30-minute or so discussion cleared up an American's point of view on the faith in the voting process.
Yeah, you're all sweating.
You know, faith in eating ass, you know
in
what I'm
my
saying?
opinion.
Hold up. Wait, what was that you were saying for? Sorry, I missed that.
Like, surely there's like bigger concerns than those electoral like system in my mind. Like I was saying before, like the votes that went missing in Florida and stuff like that, and also like you know things like fucking Hillary Clinton being a paedophile or all those other things. Do none of those things like concern you in any sort of way, or the fact that like America is
She's signing books at Costco.
implementing false flags and like all these people that you're talking about and all this like electoral system and everything else. To me, none of it matters. Like in England, none of it really matters. Like, well, we got Brexit, but at the end of the day, like realistically, it's not much of a claim to us. But
Were you
like,
a Remainer or Leave?
a high lever? I you know, again, like the EU is just of a like controlling factor of over a large amount of responsibility, and I don't think that's right. People say like
unnecessary, like bureaucratic decentralization of power. So I've heard.
But the thing is, with the EU, we were paying, like the simple man myself, like all I could see is we were paying a lot more than we were getting back, and then we were getting farms that we could grow food on, that everyone going about how everyone's starving, but we get paid to not grow food on these farms in England. Stuff like that. I mean, surely do you guys not get like subsidization for farms in America and stuff like that where you just don't grow field? It's fucked up. So, like,
You know there's chemicals in the water that turn the frogs
Yeah,
gay?
we get substitutes for it.
there's like some really big stuff like that. That's much more concerning than an electoral college vote and stuff. Because there's like all this stuff here that's going off that you guys are talking about. But at the end of the day, in my mind, it's all like it's just a facade for people to get caught up in and educate themselves about and stuff like that. Like, whereas there's bigger problems overall, where like people like America's bullying North Korea at the moment, but in the media, like they're turning around and saying, "Oh, North Korea's extremist." North Korea hasn't done fuck all to anybody for a long time, right? And all America does is create like problems by like fucking putting people out like around their like they have war games outside North Korea like every other day or whatever.
One second.
Let him talk. Are you saying like?
No, he was saying like he never got fucked with before, but then you guys want to keep poking at him, and then they're gonna fuck with you. What he was just trying to talk to you about.
I mean, you kind of posed two questions in my mind.
Go ahead.
So I'm getting a little echo from Hack Lion. So you posed the question. Well, you didn't necessarily pose it, but I would say North Korea has been acting aggressively. I mean, didn't they just fire like ballistic missile over top of Japan? Like they've been engaged.
Yeah, only
it's
because
not a one-sided thing. Now Trump is definitely provoking.
Well, they detonated it over the sea of Japan.
Hold on. Do you wanna come up on the stage?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about something and let you finish, dude.
Oh, sorry, no, I was responding before. I mean, you can go next, but...
Alright. You hear the echo?
It's all good, I'm here, just listening.
Yeah, there's kind of an echo.
Alright, well, let's you have it first.
The other thing that you were saying is, don't I think it's more important for us to focus on, for Americans to focus on sort of our foreign policy and like the bad things that we're doing to other countries rather than worrying about the fidelity of our voting system? And I was saying the electoral system is the real way that we can affect change. And I would say, yes, there's always going to be corruption and collusion on all levels. I mean, people just do that whenever power is at risk. But
we're talking about going from a stretch from doing something overseas to actually like talking about yourself. But really, what all I want to talk about is it starts at home. If you don't have a good home life, you're not going to have a good attitude at life. So regardless if you don't want to believe in the things that are going on out here in the world, is because you haven't stepped outside that stoop. So don't be the stoop kid from Hey Arnold.
Hey dude,
be that nice person, you know? Be that nice person that's like down to help somebody. I helped my neighbor with a straight up like, she was choking on some energy pill or some, but I helped her out. I gave her the Heimlich maneuver, man. Like, you got to know about things that will help the people around you.
I'm
that's what I have to say.
Do you watch Jordan Peterson at all? Anybody watch Jordan Peterson?
Oh, yeah, actually here. I can build off your point. I'm from Toronto, Canada, so yeah, I know all about him.
Nice. I just wanted to conclude the previous discussion with four posed just a few questions, and I wanted to finalize. What was I saying? Power, collusion, corruption. I think the voting system is really our only real way of sorting out a lot of these problems, just because of the...
Go fuck yourself.
You can analyze questions on a lot of different levels. Like pragmatically, maybe we should sort out what we're... society, how fragmented society is, but in a more focused way of saying it, we need to sort out the voting system, and a lot of that is the funding, the campaign funding, and as well as don't have faith.
I agree.
And so it's
why
a self-correcting or a self-defiling, I can't think of a better word, system. If we do not put in correct energy, quote unquote, into the system that is
self-destroying.
It's going to, if we leave our politicians to do whatever they like, they're just going to benefit themselves and, pass all sorts of legislation.
Guys, I'm literally waiting for him to finish this point. I don't know why you're voting against it.
Don't worry. All right. If you guys don't kick people off the stage, we've been doing well passing it back and forth. I feel like I've kind of...
Is it okay to heckle from the crowd then?
You can heckle.
I'd rather you not. We've been given...
Because this is a real debate, and like, I think you're fucking full of...
Where...
Okay, I just joined. What's the debate?
Man, looking into American politics, to me at least.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Is not like a very good system on electing a new president. Like, I don't know why.
It's because of gerrymandering.
Of population density in different areas of the United States.
Why? Why does the electoral college even exist?
Well,
there should not even
California.
be. Why? But dude, we're all cool. We're all cool. We're all cool as shit.
Yo,
yeah, but Cali's smoking butts like shit. Marijuana's legal, and you guys don't capitalize it in every 50 state.
Yeah, but it's 63 electoral votes. Why is it 63? That literally gives the left side an instant huge boost just because we know Cali is full of liberals. What kind of bullshit is that?
You guys are all about that Cali lifestyle. Like, y'all want to fucking rock in flip-flops, and like, I'm out here stomping in fucking Columbia boots every day.
Why the fuck should we give them that much power, though?
But why the fuck should I sit here and fucking go to work every single day so you guys can bitch about this on comedy night? And why am I not? Why don't I have a million YouTube followers that watch me go to work every single day? and like getting up when like I'm drunk as shit at fucking 11:19 East Coast Standard Time, and like I'm like seriously debating with you guys, and I'm telling you the straight truth. It's like I go to work so you guys can have this. Like I work and fucking bust my ass so you guys can have a good life, man. I've seen a lot of people fucking fall. That's like,
does that tie into the electoral
and that's like
college at all?
everybody's like over here like hating on Trump, man. It's like don't fucking hate on what we're doing.
I agree with Trump. I don't know what you got.
No. But I'm saying, but then you're like North Korea. Don't bring in North Korea, man. They're doing their own fucking thing. Just because they don't conform, it's like, I mean, I understand it.
Frankly, I have to admit, that was a good point.
Where are we going?
No, what he's saying is that Hack Lion is literally trying to tell all of you that he wants more power to the working class people that work very hard to put food on your table and get you where you want to go.
Not gonna
happen. Like I pay for your internet. I pay for your a lot of shit. But honestly,
it's a
on the
system
road too. And seriously, I've seen a lot of shit too. I used to be a skateboarder. I used to, you know, when Tony Hawk busted the 900, like when Tony Hawk 2 came out for Dreamcast, like I seen video games grow. I was Windows 95, and like I'm just want you guys to understand. You know what I mean? Just enjoy your life while you're young.
Well, see, service providers end up taking money from different people because you pay for it, right? Which ends up going into a system, which means that more people will buy it once they expand their system. So in a sense, we're all paying for each other's internet.
Yeah. And honestly, you should give your mom a hug and help her with the dishes.
Well, I like the message of self-fulfillment. I definitely agree with that. I've been watching Jordan Peterson a lot, and that's like his entire thing. But I
watch Clayton Jennings. Watch Clayton Jennings, and just remember why you can't like focus. In this world, just brings you a lot of hate like this. Like it makes you want to like do things like that. You know what I mean? Like, arrgh.
Well, we do have to fix ourselves, but we also have to take care of the world. We can't just focus inwardly.
But actually, do not be conformed to the world, but rather be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
I have a question.
You know what? Honestly, I feel like the way that the entire UN and NATO thing is going on and wasting a lot of taxpayer dollars on bullshit in the Middle East and Africa, doing peacekeeping in countries that have already settled down, is a complete waste. Why would I want to pay my hard-worked money into people who sit in a military base with nothing?
Why? So they can sit there and play the video games that we play and they get paid for it? They ain't sending nobody in.
His power politics is like about regional control, and that's a pretty big like minefield as far as why people are doing what they're doing. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I think it's more complex than just the American generals want to shoot up a bunch of brown people in the Middle East. Like,
I mean, it's admirable that they're trying to do it.
There is
trying to help you.
They're not brown people. I'm not a white man. I'm not a black man. I mean, I'm being serious too. It's like I look exactly like my avatar, but with black frame glasses on. And I'm telling you right now, it's not about if you're a black man or you're a white woman or you're a white man or an Arabic dude or something. You guys are focusing on like what's going on in the world. But you gotta focus on the thing outside of your box. Don't sit there and just be like, oh, the world's going on and somebody's gonna drop this nuke and this is what's going on and YouTube told me this or like Facebook told me this. No, get yourself together, find where you're at, focus on a dot, get out of that dot, and then find yourself being more magical and being a positive person in the world.
I feel like his message is actually very true. I like the fact that he's into self-betterment. I mean,
but it's not even self-betterment.
Definitely important.
No, seriously, Jesus Christ is my motivation. And I'll tell you every day. And then, yeah, the plot twist. It twisted real quick.
Dude,
but I'm telling you right
it's
now.
all right. If you're a Christian or a Catholic or whatever you want to be, as long as
straight
your morals
Christian.
are good and you're a hard worker, I don't care what you do.
Why label it, man? Why label it? That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. It's fine. If people think that Christian was supposed to be a bad term, no. Look it up. It's written down. It has been written. Like nobody else's books can tell you that. So I mean, I don't want to get into too biblical statements, but I'm telling you right now,
Plenty of other books can, man. You're talking out your ass. You're saying that just the Bible comes out with the peace and love message? Wrong.
Do not be of your flesh, more of your soul.
Blame the player. Don't blame the game.
Exactly.
Honestly, it kind of works the exact same way. I mean,
Park Place is worth $1 million, right?
Sorry.
Okay, how come
I just wanna organize things real quick. So we wanna have a discussion on gun control.
Yeah, that's
gun control's cool.